I just want to come here and talk about First and how First, what we do, what Maker does, how incredible it is, how similar we are in a lot of ways, and how the movement at First is similar to the movement at Maker. And at first, I want to just call out: are there any First teams here all right, so if you look around, you see some First teams that have been at Maker for a number of years. Yeah, we've got some entrepreneurs as well who've been at First for a long time. I also want to point out Woody Flowers, who's really a co-founder of what made First Makers. So when First was just an idea, Woody realized it needs to be about making and about doing and about actually being practical and things like that. So if you, to the extent we're makers at First, it's because of Woody. And also Pat Daly is out there, who is our regional director from New York. So if any teams are from New York here, you know the great things that Pat's doing as well. So thank you, Pat. I'm going to talk a little bit in a bit. I'll show a video that tells you what First is. It's just a 3-minute video. It can go, it would take me 40 minutes to try to describe First in this one 3-minute video. So I'll hold off on that for now to go over all the different programs. I know we're still working on the presentation. But one of the things I would tell you about First, again, is we're about making, we're about doing. It was literally a reaction to what was happening in the world, where how many people think that football or basketball or baseball or volleyball or anything else that people associate with a lot of fun would be fun if all you did was read about it in a textbook? If all you did was look at a playbook in football, would you think that's a great time? It's actually doing things. And I have kids that are age 10 through college, and one of the issues that I always see is trying to teach kids incredible practical concepts and fun things about math and science and real-world examples, everything you do at Maker, but to try to put that in a book or a diagram doesn't always work, and the kids don't necessarily learn. And that's really a big part of the concept at First, and something that, again, Woody realized at MIT as a professor, that even at the college level, the magic that you have by actually doing and making. So this is the opening slide on where we are at First, and what you can see on the next slide is just, this is a young woman working on a robot, right? The difference between actually looking at diagrams and trying to learn through that versus actually building a robot, designing what you're doing, having an actual competition where you're having a great time. This is a word cloud that we've done for people in the First community, and I point that out just to say we've asked people in the community something that Woody was also behind or really thought was a good idea. What words do you associate with First? And you can see from that making and design, including created things. You just heard from Anne-Marie. We went to the Clinton Global Initiative together, and I remember they split us up into all kinds of different groups, and there was a group that was about robots. And everyone said, well, you've got to go over there, John, because you're president of First Robotics, president of First, and all the robotics competitions, because that's what you guys do. That's not where I wanted to go, and I didn't. I went over where the makers were, because that's really what's fundamentally happening at First, is kids doing things and actually making things. So that's one of the things, the synergies that Anne-Marie saw between First, and she's been a supporter for a long time, and what happened at Maker was really critical for us. So I'm going to get to the video here in just a moment that's going to give you a little bit, and I apologize because it's 3 minutes of just watching a video, but I think it gives you the biggest flavor of First and can help lay out really why I think it's so important for why you're here today. I think.
This is the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl of smarts, that is. It's a life-changing competition. It's kids having fun, competing, working together to dream up, design, and build robots.
It's just an exhilarating feeling. It's like I'm using power tools.
They're having the hardest fun they'll ever have. And they're becoming our next generation of engineers and innovators. First,
go now!
For inspiration and recognition of science and technology, my teachers were some of the greatest influences on my life. By challenging and trusting me, these mentors got me to understand that I could do anything I put my mind to. First mentors are changing kids' lives every day. Professional engineers, teachers, parents, teaming up with young people not just to build robots, but to build confidence and self-respect.
I'm around people that I can get along with, that we can talk computer lingo with.
First was founded by one of our greatest inventors, Dean Kamen. Dean saw that kids mostly look up to sports heroes and movie stars.
So we said,
if we've got a culture now that's obsessed with sports and entertainment, let's inspire these kids to be big thinkers the same way Shaquille O'Neal can inspire them to spend dozens of hours a week bouncing a ball.
Our president agrees.
Scientists and engineers ought to stand side by side with athletes and entertainers as role models. And here at the White House, we're going to lead by example. We're going to show young people how cool science can be.
250,000 kids aged 6 to 18 compete at all different levels. In 2 first Lego leagues, the first Tech Challenge. And at the high school level, the first robotics competition.
The only difference between this sport and all the others is every kid on our teams can turn pro. There's a job out there for every one of these kids.
Students who take part in FIRST are 50% more likely to go to college and twice as likely to major in science or engineering.
I definitely know that I want to pursue engineering.
Once they've tasted what the power of knowledge is, that it can be fun and rewarding, they won't go back.
There's no doubt FIRST works.
10 or 15 or 20 years from today, some kid in those stands will have cured Alzheimer's or AIDS or cancer, or built an engine that doesn't pollute. Look at these kids. They're the future.
I feel like I can go and do anything I want to do because of this program.
Someone took the time to guide and inspire me. It changed my life. Take some time. Go to usfirst.org.
So there were a lot of different things in there. Obviously, we're trying to show the entire program, but the thing that strikes me the most is all the doing, all the building. That's really fundamentally what it's about. And the other thing that you saw in there was President Obama. We're working right now. We're not sure if it'll work. After the debates, we actually want to have a robotic competition between Governor Romney and President Obama. But it's in the works. We don't have it quite worked out yet, but we think that there's enough undecided voters out there that they should be looking at things that actually matter. I know I'll grow to regret that statement. The other thing is, I wouldn't be an effective advocate on behalf of a nonprofit if I didn't tell you what you can do for FIRST. And as you saw in there, fundamentally, what are we talking a lot about? These are about the mentors, about the people, the real life examples of people who are makers and doers and creators and actually get things done. And that's, again, the magic that I think Woody Flowers helps. He started a Woody Flowers Award winners, which is really celebrating the best mentor out of a community of 120,000 volunteers every year. We have 120,000 volunteers, over 60,000 of them are mentors. And how do we celebrate those folks? And this is a group, clearly at Makers Faire, the fact that you're here, you get it. You understand how doing practical things, making things, makes a difference. And so I would ask you to look at FIRST if you think it's something that you can help others and you can volunteer, or if you're out there and you just want to participate. Clearly, we've got over 250,000 kids each year that are getting involved in FIRST and grows every year. But this is the kind of community we love to talk to and say, see the difference you can make in a kid's life, to actually let them see the difference. And the stories we have about kids who's being involved in FIRST, they found what they wanted. So I have 4 children, and when I talk to other parents, the thing that's so incredible is when you have a kid that finds out what it is they want to do, or something that really excites them. And that's a lot of what FIRST is about. And it's also about, the concept is there's a 6-week build season for FIRST robotics competition, the biggest competition you see there. And it's amazing if you go to, if you look at the kit of parts that the kids get each year. You don't know what the game is each year until the first week of January. So the design challenge is brand new each and every year. And there's a kickoff event at the beginning, the first weekend in January, where tens of thousands of people throughout the country, and actually throughout the world, get together to watch this kickoff because they know they have only 6 weeks to build their robot, which is an example, like, again, in real life. And what you get in the kit of parts is 2 crates full of stuff. That's it. So every year we get a certain number of people that send in a note that says, I didn't get the instruction manual for the robot this year. It's like, well, there is no instruction manual. And that's why the challenge each year is different. How you want to design your robot is different. The founder of game design, again, is Woody. Sorry, I keep calling you out, Woody. I should have you come up and give this speech, really. But and he understood the magic of having it be different every year. And the thing that still to this day for game designers at FIRST makes them a little bit crazy at times is we know we're going to get hundreds, if not thousands, of different designs. Is anyone going to figure out how to beat this game? But that's the magic of it, is that everybody gets a chance to figure out a different way to do it. And I want to focus a little bit on what happens to first teams beyond first. I'll share a little bit of story that's not necessarily relevant or right here, and then I want to talk about something that's actually here today, a real success story for some members that were in first. One thing I would tell you, we decided at first we wanted to see about, kids are so innovative. Our program that's First Lego League does a project every year, and it's based around a theme. And a few years ago, the theme was transportation safety, and some kids developed a project, and their project was actually to develop a steering wheel that recognized when your hands were on and when your hands were off. So it was a don't text while driving kind of invention. It seemed really neat, and the next thing we knew, without any help from First, President Obama's featuring it, the Secretary of Transportation's featuring it, and these guys are off getting a patent on that. So the next year we started to realize more and more kids were really inventing and innovating just as part of their project. So we decided, well, why don't we see what that looks like if we just encourage kids and say, what X Prize came in and said, we'll give $20,000 to the team that comes up with the best innovation so they can go to the Patent and Trademark Office and maybe develop their invention. And the first year we did that, we ended up with hundreds of teams inventing things. We ended up with the winner, it was a biomedical technology. The winning team was actually a young team of young women, 9 to 12 years old, from Ames, Iowa. They'd never been on a plane before. They developed a prosthetic device for a 3-year-old girl from China who'd never written in her life. And this prosthetic device allowed her to write for the first time in her life. And they ended up getting a patent. They now representing the United States at all kinds of things throughout the rest of the world because of their innovative nature. This year, a TV show came in that works on innovation on PBS, and their model is actually to bring in innovations, and they'll take the inventor from from their concept to market, and they'll invest up to $250,000 on these concepts. They care about innovation, they care about invention, but it's a business. I mean, they have $30 million invested into bringing these products to market because they believe there are a lot of people out there that have great ideas. They don't always have all the tools and everything they need to bring it to market. And this year, 2 teams were selected to have the opportunity to have up to $250,000 spent on their product, and they're going to be on a TV show. So it's another example of where the kids' ideas are there. They just need a way to express it more. And actually, what I'd like to feature a little bit right now is some first students, and if I can just ask them to stand up, Jason, Max, and Ian here in the front row. These are our guys that were on first teams a number of years ago. And you should clap for them. I'll tell you why to clap for them in a little bit. There's lots of reasons to clap for them. But the picture you see there is back when they were working together on 2 different teams. Team 1257, where Jason and Max were, and Team 694, where Ian was. And these are an example of, we were just talking a little bit earlier, and they said, preparing for the launch of a product that they've just launched. And that's when you'll really want to start clapping, when you realize how much easier they've made it for you to make and do what you want to do. But getting ready to launch the product was a little bit like the first competition. We were just talking backstage a little bit about how 6 weeks ago they decided how they wanted to do that, and it's like the 6-week competition and all the pressure that goes along with it, all the things that you need to do along those lines. But these 3 also met up with a 4th student who they didn't know in first robotics competition, but David, who was actually a first Lego League mentor. And what these guys have done, what these guys have done is developed a new 3D printer. 3D printers that were, generally you see out in the market are $10,000 to $1 million, not available to most of us, certainly not available to me, and I'm guessing not available to most everyone else. They've developed a 3D printer that works incredibly well, that they've just launched this week, that they made a part of Maker Faire, that the pre-order price is $2,700. And I would encourage everybody to go over to the 3D Printer Pavilion and see what they have. But it's an example, for us at first, an example of people who were incredibly innovative, who like to actually do things and make things, who decided, and who had a great experience at first. It was fun, but it represented real life in a lot of ways for them. This is going through some of the teams. We say again, once a maker, always a maker. We are certainly incredibly encouraged by what's happening in the Maker Faire movement. And what we would say is we've been making for over 20 years. And we have a particular area where kids are making, right, in robotics. but we also have kids being more innovative and doing more things. And so what I just mentioned about what they're doing at Form Labs really is disrupting an industry. And as we talked again, I can't say it all. I don't think that First made that happen for them. They made that happen. But First gave them the opportunity to see what it was like in high school, to have this kind of environment. To some degree, may have helped give them some support to realize at a pretty young age it's okay to go down this path and actually take a lot of risk and understand the projects, because this is the kind of thing I'm not sure 20 years ago you would have seen coming from gentlemen this young, and this effective. So this is it. This is the desktop 3D printing from Form Labs. It's an incredibly elegant design, which again, I would say thank you, Woody, because that's one of the things that Woody has emphasized for everyone in First. Obviously, more important, thank you guys, because it's a pretty incredible thing that you've done. But the design that they have for this 3D printer is incredible. The fact that I believe, and a number of people we've talked to believe, this is almost like the PC becoming available to people. In the early 70s, when computers really weren't available to people, that's what the 3D printing right now is really not available to the masses. It's not available to most of us here. What they've developed, the quality and the level and the price point actually can be available for all of us. That's really it. I wanted a chance to come out here, show you what First was, explain what we've been doing and how we've been making, describe it a little bit more. I especially wanted to show you what I think First in action is, and show you what is it like for kids that have been in First, no longer kids obviously, see what it looks like when the First experience has worked incredibly well. Watch the networking that's happened and watch a number of folks from First get back together at some point. Not because of First or only because of First for certain, but that making, that practice, the opportunity they had to work with real life mentors, the kinds of things that all of you are doing and why you're interested in Makers Faire today, has spawned what I think will be a new disruptive technology, and certainly has been a big buzz out there today. So with that, I think there's a little time left if there's questions. If you don't want to ask questions, it's okay. I've got pictures of my last vacation with my kids. They're pretty incredible. We went tubing. So at any rate, right here, gentleman in the front. Well, I should actually let you guys talk about it. I can tell you essentially it's, well, here, I'm going to let you come up and talk about it because I'm going to butcher it. But dream something up and actually make it.
So yeah, just briefly, 3D printing is a technology that lets you take a 3D computer model, like a three-dimensional model you can see on a computer screen, and send it to a box connected to that computer and actually create that model out of plastic or some other material. And so it's used often for prototyping. When you're inventing something, designing a new product, you use it to prototype that design before you take it to an expensive manufacturing process.
So I would say, and again, they're experts, I'm not, but there's a good example out there. They have a chess set where if you decided you wanted to design a chess set and you wanted it to be a certain thing, maybe you wanted to make it around your favorite NFL team. I'm not going to venture a guess at what that is, but we'll say New York Giants for the heck of it. I'm pretty sure it's not the Patriots. But anyway, whatever you want to do, you want to design it. You could sit down and draw it and take the specs and try to get it to somebody, or you could actually what looks like a printout, and you actually create the chess pieces. And if you go out there, you'll see amazing things that they actually can do. So you can actually create a three-dimensional model for that. For kids in First, the reason it's going to be revolutionary is because they have a certain number of parts they have in there for their robot, but they're constantly designing new parts. Sometimes they're patentable things, sometimes not, but how are we going to make this robot work? And they want to design it ahead of time and actually see what it works. Does it actually fit in or not before they go and tool it up? So it's the next step in the process from your idea where you could just draw it in 2 dimensions and you hope you can design it in 3 dimensions, but you don't want to spend $100,000 to do it. You can spend what looks like $2,700 and design endless numbers of things to see if it fits or doesn't fit. So you could make your own Lego elements. I'm sure that'll come back to bite me too. Any other questions? Hey, how are you? Good, thanks. Oh, thanks for asking that. Colleagues from the United States Patent and Trademark Office, so we need to give a hand. So the question is, what are the qualifications to become a mentor? And what was the second part of that? How can someone start a team? So the qualifications to be a mentor, there really aren't any. You have to care about helping kids get inspired, about building robots, and about doing meaningful things in their lives. So it's as simple as that. There's a place with 120,000 volunteers. We have everything from really hardcore software and mechanical engineers who will mentor a first robotics competition team and get in there and actually just teach the kids about software engineering and mechanical engineering, all the way to people who are coming in on a day-to-day basis just to make sure that when we hold a competition, we can make sure the competition goes smoothly. But anybody who really feels like they can contribute to a group of high school kids all the way down to kindergarten can become a mentor or can become a participant in FIRST. Clearly, the lower the level of the program, the easier it is. So FIRST Lego League team, I can even be a mentor for that team, right? This is a bunch of kids that are 10 to 12 years old, use Lego elements. We have guidebooks that help you bring it through the program. So there's a lot. FIRST Lego League and Junior FIRST Lego League, which is kindergarten through 8th grade, is essentially a lot of parents who get involved, a lot of teachers who get involved. More than 50% of our lead mentors are teachers. And then when you get into some of the programs that are in the high school level, having a scientific or technology background certainly helps, because every team really should have a mentor who's helping them think through some of their design and mechanical engineering. Starting a team is incredibly easy. If you just go to usfirst.org, you can sign up, put in your zip code. We will have someone call you back and tell you how to start a team. If you're in the New York area, we'll give you Pat Daly's number. And if you have a desire to start a team, and you have a certain school or a certain area that you want, we even have a lot of sponsors that come in and subsidize teams to a certain degree. So there's an opportunity to do that as well. We have a lot of companies come and sponsor FIRST. A lot of Fortune 500 companies sponsor FIRST because they want to see more kids building. They want to see more kids. NASA is one of our largest sponsors, maybe our largest sponsor over the last 10 years cumulatively, and they have a lot of philanthropic desires, but they also have a real practical issue, which is they make robots that you've probably seen that land on Mars, and they need people that can design these robots and build them and conceive of all the incredible tasks they have there. So I would say the most important thing, if you're interested, go to usfirst.org, and we'll flood you with information. Yes, sir. So I'm sorry, you have a robotics club, but not FIRST yet. Okay, so then I'm going to make sure you and Pat Daly meet each other, for one thing. So if you have that, the idea would be we can work with you. We just opened registration yesterday, I think. We have already, I think, 1,100 teams signed up. We expect that we'll get over 2,600 FRC teams. We'll probably get 2,400 FTC teams. So the most important thing would be, and I'll give you my card afterwards as well. We'll connect up and see specifically, which program would work best for you this year. If you think that you might need sponsors, you might need help finding mentors, anything like that, we'll do that as well. You may already have it all worked out because you've already got a robotics club, so it might be as simple as just getting you signed up. But yeah, thanks for asking that question. For anybody who feels that way, so I'll make sure we could. What was your name again? I'm sorry. Got it. Thanks. Gentleman back there. So the question is a glimpse at what the game is next year. As I mentioned earlier, this is one of the best kept secrets in the world because the whole idea is that on that first weekend in January. But since you all came, I'll just give a really quick hint. It's going to be 7,000 feet under the water. That's just something. Just for the record, that hint has nothing at all to do with anything in reality of the real game. So I just want to make sure that's clear. Not a single part of that is real in any way. Woody's watching my short career go down the tubes really quickly. Any other questions or thoughts? Well, I want to thank you all for being here. This is amazing that with all the things that are going on out there, that you took the time to come in here and talk about FIRST and learn more about FIRST. Again, if you have anything, there's Pat Daly, there's Woody Flowers. He'll even sign your shirt. I'm here. Go to usfirst.org and make sure you stop by. Honestly, you've got to check out the 3D printer if you know what it is or if you don't, at the 3D Printer Pavilion, and look for Form Labs right up front. Thanks, guys.